We're very pleased to welcome the gang back here in the studios of Augusta Podcasts. Sandi Shields and Robin Baxley from Best Office Solutions, headquartered in beautiful Burke County, Waynesboro, Georgia, and Coach Darin Myers, who is the facilitator of TAB CSRA, the peer-to-peer advisory group that gets together on a monthly basis and gets personal coaching. And this situation is a little bit unique because we mostly have individual business owners that are around the table once a month, but they are equal partners. Mm-hmm. How did that come about?
Well, I think partnerships are, add a complexity. As we all know, the business model, there's a lot of pros of having partners, and there's some cons. And, I think these two ladies have had a very successful business, but as they grow, everybody needs to, communicate. They're pulled in many, many different directions. And I think the partnership theme has been something that has been very important to them as we talk about coaching. Sandi has a different strategy of maybe wanting to retire at some point. Robin still wants to stay in the business. So it's extremely important that there's a communication piece and an understanding and work through those issues. So I think partnerships can be fantastic, but they certainly, if not handled appropriately, especially when you have a thriving business like these two have, it can get out of control.
How has the alternative board helped your partnership?
Well, I think too, we realized that if Sandi was to go alone, and she would be all pumped up and excited about all the things she gets from the board, if you're really not there, it's hard to feel that same vibe. So I think that us sharing that experience has definitely made it much more beneficial. Because I would kind of, combat that a little bit. I'm not sure. I wouldn't feel that same vibe and excitement. Mm-hmm. So we really do feel like
we've learned that even going to conferences. Right. It's better if we both go. We might both learn different pieces of information. We might have some different opinions about some things, but we've both heard the same information. And we really wanted to both be on board with this. We said that, Robin and I don't like to waste two things, and that's time and money. And, of course, there is an investment. We found it's very much worth it. And then the time investment is worth it because, back again to the accountability, we know if we bring up an issue at a board meeting, at the next board meeting, somebody's going to say, now what have you done about that?
Right.
And you better have an answer or at least have accomplished some action items in regards to that.
Yeah, there's something about peers, and you're not looking at me. I mean, you're committing to your peers on that board that, hey, last month I committed I'm going to do this. And there is some psychological strength of, hey, I committed to some peers that I'm going to do this. And sometimes it's that extra oomph that I think helps people keep kicking the can down the road. I mean, you mentioned to me earlier that you had a strategic plan. I think Robin mentioned it earlier in the podcast of we used to go off once or twice a year and do strategic planning. And I think you both told me that really got excited about it. And within 1 or 2 months after you come back from that session, actions had sort of fallen off the map. The plan was on the shelf, hadn't been opened back. And I think the board helps those kinds of things where whether it's strategic planning or other actions that you've committed to, the peers help you keep on track and keep kicking the can down the road. Would you agree, or do I have it wrong?
I work well under pressure, and sometimes, it might be last minute, but I'm getting that action item done. So,
right.
It gives me that pressure that I need.
Right. I was going to stop procrastinating, but I put it off.
Yeah.
I
do know.
I hear you for sure.
Yes.
I just thought for a moment, I just love your story. I love how you first started your company 22 years ago. It came out of a challenge, I guess, and you turned lemons into lemonade. How did it go?
Well, we both worked for a company that had been in business 63 years, and they were going out of business from some unfortunate internal issues. We learned a lot about what not to do all those years ago, too. And then Sandi and I were looking for other jobs, and our customers from that other company, they did kind of the same thing that we do now. We do a lot more. But they came to us and said, why don't y'all, start your own business. And we decided to just give it a try. And 22 years later, we've had a roller coaster ride, but it's been great, and we've learned a lot.
Wasn't napkins involved?
Well, a lot of people wanted to place the very first order for Best Office. And so we would take orders at church on Wednesday nights on napkins.
Grocery store.
There's probably, 30 or 40 customers that were our first customers because it took some time to get things set up. But another interesting part of that, while Robin was busy closing down the taxes with the other company and some of the business avenues, my mother and I scrubbed out our new location, which was an old meat shop in downtown Waynesboro. And we used 7 gallons of Clorox. I won't go into any more descriptive mode than that, but 7 gallons of Clorox to earn our first month's rent to take possession of that area, so that building.
I don't know if I can. I'm going to leave that one alone.
Well, I just think it just shows the teamwork and the foundation.
Yeah, and I would tell you, in 22 short years, we're starting in a meat packing facility to where you're at today is phenomenal. I think one of the things you told me too is what you've learned in TAB and the boards is you frankly wish you would have done it a little earlier. And I think there's just so much advantage of taking advantage of somebody else's wisdom or mistakes. I don't know if we leave every board meeting with just an absolute aha moment.
Right.
But there are many times where I think we all have, and those are what I'd call priceless, stealing the commercial of the priceless comment, because if you have somebody that tells you something that maybe prevents you from going off and making a real bad mistake, how much is that worth?
Mm-hmm.
Not just dollar-wise,
6 months,
time-wise, brand-wise, reputation-wise, and something that maybe even you wouldn't recover from. So those priceless moments, I think, are extremely important, too.
Another thing, too, that Sandi and I talked about years ago, we've gone to a lot of different things over the years, some things with the Small Business Development Center, and we've learned little snippets along the way. And we always said it would be cool if people were learning something from our life experiences and mistakes even and things like that. So it's fun when we can help these other business owners too. It makes you feel good about yourself that, maybe help them steer in the right direction. So it's kind of can go both ways and makes you feel good to do both.
I think I'm glad Robin brought that up. There's a tab board in Hilton Head that's been established for about 18 years. And of their original 9 members, 4 of them are still there. And from what I understand, those 4 like doing what Robin just said. Not only still receiving advice, but I think helping the next generation and the next business owner and conveying some of the experiences and hard knocks that they experienced and sharing that with future members. So I understand that. I enjoy that part of it as well.
And for those who don't know, each month, TAB board members get together and discuss issues or opportunities. And it's not always negative. It's not always a bad employee.
Oh, right.
Oh,
Yeah,
absolutely.
Sometimes it could be growth, or it could be other.
Absolutely. Moving locations. Look, what do we currently have present day here in February of 22? We got rising inflation. We got a society that has changed their purchasing ways. My wife told me the other day, she goes, I cannot believe the way I shop today. I would have never thought I would be having things delivered to my house the way I do. I don't go to stores like I used to. We got labor in this so-called great resignation or great retirement. Business owners are under a lot of stress and a changing environment. And so I would suggest that just because you've been successful up to this point doesn't guarantee success going forward, and getting to use other people as your board of directors and helping them give you advice and wisdom. Again, I'll go back to the word priceless. I just think it's worth its weight in gold.
Mm-hmm. And before we scoot, I know the number one, opportunity or issue has to keep up with your growth and find the right people. What type of teammate are you looking for, And what does Best offer that's maybe a little bit unique?
Well, we're looking for sales consultants. You know, we consider ourselves partners with our customers. So we need somebody that can fit into our team and help us grow as far as handling the business that is coming our way. And then we also need help in our delivery area, installations, things like that. That is a very, very critical department because they see our customer more than we see our customer a lot of times. They have that, you know, personal interaction. And so it's very important in some inventory management and things like that. So we just feel like, you know, we try to be competitive in wages, but we also, we really appreciate our employees. And I think most of them would tell you that's the case. We try to share our profits with them. We have some bonus structures that, you know, even if we can't start you out what you're making in Augusta or something like that, we feel like we try to share every time we are successful. And so, you know, at the end of the year when we look back, you know, people aren't doing so bad when they work for us. So we're excited about that. So.
Well, that's a great question because if you remember last week when we had the board, I think that was one of your commitments is I think Robin said we just need to go back based on what I said, changing environment, go back and do a SWOT analysis, update that a little bit, and review your differentiators, your value, what makes you different, your red rose offering kind of idea, and really go back. So I believe that was one of your actions that you guys wanted to go back and sort of just regroup and make sure that what you think you currently have is the lay of the land.
Exactly. Well, and we're always trying to think outside of the box and be creative, and we're always searching for ways to empower our employees and also reward our employees. We, of course, do that based on profit because that is the responsible way to do that. So we're always thinking of different little incentives that we can do and ways that we can put money in their pocket. Because let's face it, you know, if it's a hobby, if you don't get paid, and none of us are doing this for a hobby, and our employees are not either. They're doing this for a paycheck, and we respect that.
And the longer you work for Robin and Sandi, you truly make more money, $100 on your anniversary every year.
That's right.
And what's your oldest tenured employee?
$100 per year.
Per year.
So one of our employees recently received a check for $2,000.
He's been with us
20 years. That's, you know, another, we're just always trying to think of, number one, how we can retain these wonderful people, but how can we reward them as well?
We call that the BLB, the best loyalty bonus.
That's for business.
That's right.
That's
right.
exactly
yes.
right.
Hey, thanks to everyone. It's great to have a little mini tab board meeting, if you will, here to share some insight. And the website is tabcsra.com. A second board will be forming in 2022 because Darin has done a wonderful job in encouraging business owners, and you're ready for some growth.
Yeah. Follow these two. 20 years from now, be where they're at.
Outstanding.
I'm excited for them. This is awesome.
Yeah. Thanks to everyone.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure to be part of it.